Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every person's life when they must decide who truly governs their destiny, the outside world or the power within. Most people spend their lives reacting to circumstances, opinions, and conditions, never realizing that their greatest battles were never with the world at all, but with their own uncontrolled thoughts. The first lesson to becoming untouchable is simple. Master your mind. When you discipline your thoughts, you discipline your life. You become the commander instead of the captive. No criticism, no insult, no setback can disturb the one who has taken complete possession of their inner world. The second lesson is this: your reaction is your real power. Life will test you. People may doubt you. Circumstances may turn against you. But the outcome is determined not by the storm, but by the strength of the sailor. When you choose calm over chaos, purpose over panic, focus over frustration, you become immune to life's emotional turbulence. Next, understand that purpose transforms every obstacle. A person without purpose is easily shaken, but one with a burning objective cannot be stopped. When you know where you're going, every delay becomes preparation, every difficulty becomes training, every criticism becomes fuel. Purpose makes you resilient. Purpose makes you unstoppable. Then we come to self-discipline, the invisible force that shapes all greatness. Without discipline, dreams remain wishes. With discipline, even the smallest step becomes a march toward victory. Discipline does not remove struggle. It removes weakness. It builds a version of you that is no longer controlled by mood, fear, or limitation. And finally, the greatest of all lessons, faith in yourself. Not temporary confidence, not conditional courage, but a deep, unwavering faith in your ability to achieve, overcome, and rise. Once you believe in your inner authority, the world loses its power over you. People's opinions become noise. Failure becomes feedback. Doubt becomes fuel. You move with the quiet certainty of someone who knows that the world bends to the will of a determined spirit. When you master these lessons, mind, reaction, purpose, discipline, and faith, something extraordinary happens. Nothing and no one can shake you again. You no longer crumble under pressure. You no longer shrink before challenges. You become the architect of your fate, the captain of your soul, the ruler of your future. Stand tall, walk boldly. And remember, the moment you master yourself, you rise above everything that once tried to hold you down. Your power was always within you. To master your mind is to claim the highest form of power available to a human being. It means recognizing that every experience, every emotion, every success, and every failure first begins in thought. The world does not shape you until your mind permits it. The pressures of life cannot crush you until your thoughts surrender. The opinions of others cannot control you unless you hand them the authority. The moment you understand the true relationship between your inner world and your outer world, you rise above the ordinary and step into the realm of personal mastery. Most people move through life without ever questioning the source of their thoughts. They allow their minds to wander, drift, cling to fear, replay insults, rehearse failure, and magnify doubt. They think they are thinking, but they are merely reacting. They are prisoners of mental habits they never chose, and because of that, the world easily controls them. A single negative comment ruins their day. A moment of uncertainty destroys their confidence. A small setback convinces them to quit. Their emotional state is constantly pulled by circumstances, like a leaf tossed around by the wind. But the individual who chooses to master their mind becomes immune to such instability. They recognize that thoughts are suggestions, not commands. They understand that the mind is a tool, and like any tool, it can be sharpened, shaped, and directed. Mastery begins with awareness. Awareness of what enters your mind, what occupies it, and what grows within it. Once you are aware, you can take control. You can replace fear with courage, doubt with vision, confusion with clarity, and weakness with determination. Mastering your mind does not happen overnight. It is a deliberate, disciplined practice. It requires guarding your attention like a priceless treasure. Think of your mind as fertile soil. Whatever you plant will grow. If you plant bitterness, you will harvest regret. If you plant fear, you will harvest hesitation. If you plant anger, you will harvest conflict. But if you plant discipline, you will harvest progress. If you plant belief, you will harvest opportunity. If you plant focus, you will harvest achievement. The world around you becomes a reflection of the world within you. People who fail to master their minds often believe that life is happening to them. They blame circumstances, luck, timing, or other people. They never realize that every victory in history was first won in the mind of the victor. Every invention, every breakthrough, every triumph began as a thought that was nurtured, protected, and strengthened until it became reality. The outer result was the final step. The mental victory came first. When you take command of your mind, you stop being a victim of circumstances and start becoming a creator of outcomes. You stop waiting for opportunities and begin generating them. You stop depending on motivation and build discipline. You stop reacting emotionally and start responding intelligently. You stop fearing the future and start shaping it. The world tries to master your mind in many ways, through negativity, through distraction, through pressure, through noise, through fear, through the opinions of others. If you do not consciously guard your thoughts, these forces will slip in unnoticed and take control. The mind left unguarded becomes a battlefield. The mind that is guarded becomes a fortress. To master your mind is to regulate what you allow in and what you allow to grow. It means questioning every limiting belief. Is this thought strengthening me or weakening me? Does it move me closer to my purpose or pull me away? Is it mine, or was it given to me by someone who never believed in themselves? Once you begin asking these questions, you reclaim your mental territory. You take back the power you unknowingly surrendered to the world. A mastered mind is calm in the face of chaos. It is focused when others are confused. It is disciplined when others are distracted. It is determined when others are discouraged. Such a mind cannot be manipulated by fear, swayed by criticism, or broken by difficulty. It becomes the silent engine behind every great achievement. The person who masters their mind walks differently. They speak differently. They think differently. They no longer seek approval because their validation comes from within. They no longer fear failure because they understand that failure is information, not identity. They no longer feel threatened by challenges because their mind interprets challenges as opportunities to grow stronger. And the most powerful result of mastering your mind is emotional freedom. Imagine waking up each day with a sense of calm, clarity, purpose, and confidence. Imagine no longer being shaken by negativity, no longer being triggered by others, no longer being held hostage by your past, and no longer being afraid of the future. When your mind obeys you, the world loses its ability to control you. The truth is simple. If you do not learn to lead your mind will follow the path of least resistance. And the path of least resistance always leads to stress, frustration, and mediocrity. But when you choose the path of mastery, intentional thought, disciplined focus, and emotional control, you rise above every limitation. Your reaction is the one thing in life that will always remain fully within your command, no matter what circumstances arise or how unpredictable the world becomes. You cannot control the weather, the economy, the behavior of other people, or the challenges that life places in front of you. But you can control the meaning you give things, the way you respond, and the energy you choose to express. This single power, your reaction, determines whether a situation becomes a setback or a stepping stone, whether a failure becomes final or transformational, whether a challenge breaks you or builds you. When you recognize that your reaction is your real power, you stop being shaped by circumstances and begin shaping them instead. Most people move through life reacting impulsively. They allow emotions to take the lead. They explode when provoked, shut down when criticized, and retreat when discouraged. Their reactions are driven by fear, insecurity, and habit. Because of that, they constantly give their power away. They let a rude comment ruin their mood. They let a small mistake destroy their confidence. They let a temporary delay stop their progress. Their emotional state is at the mercy of the outside world, leaving them vulnerable, inconsistent, and easily manipulated. But the person who understands the strength of intentional reaction is different. They know that control begins within. They remain calm when others lose their composure. They stay focused when others become distracted. They maintain confidence when others collapse under pressure. They are steady, grounded, and powerful because they decide how to interpret each moment rather than letting the moment dictate who they are. Instead of reacting automatically, they respond consciously. This is not weakness or passiveness. This is mastery. There is immense wisdom in choosing your reaction. It allows you to rise above emotional storms rather than being tossed around by them. When someone insults you, your reaction determines whether their words have power or dissolve instantly. When adversity strikes, your reaction determines whether you crumble or rise stronger. When others doubt you, your reaction determines whether you become discouraged or become determined. The external event is only the spark. Your reaction is the fire. You decide whether that fire destroys you or fuels you. Your reaction also influences how others treat you. When you respond with emotional chaos, you invite more chaos. When you respond with strength and clarity, you earn respect. People quickly learn what affects you and what does not. If you are easily rattled, you become an easy target. But if you are unbothered, composed, and controlled, people recognize that you are someone who cannot be manipulated or diminished. The world treats you according to the level of power you project, and that power is revealed in your reactions. Mastering your reaction requires awareness. It means pausing before responding. It means separating your emotions from your choices. Feel the emotion, but don't become the emotion. Feel the frustration, but don't let it speak for you. Feel the fear, but don't let it guide you. The pause between what happens to you and how you respond is where your personal power lives. In that space, you can choose wisdom over impulse, strength over weakness, direction over chaos. This mastery deepens when you stop assigning negative meaning to every challenge you face. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You ask, what is this trying to teach me? Instead of collapsing under stress, you remind yourself that pressure is a sign of growth. Instead of reacting with fear when something unexpected happens, you respond with curiosity, confidence, and strategy. You begin to realize that life is not attacking you, it is shaping you. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to practice control, sharpen character, and strengthen endurance. Your reaction determines whether you evolve or remain the same. Another dimension of reaction is patience. Many people ruin their own progress by reacting too quickly. They give up too soon. They panic too easily. They make rash decisions out of frustration or fear. But the person who controls their reaction waits with patience, acts with intention, and moves with clarity. They understand that silence is sometimes a reaction. Stillness is sometimes a reaction. Not engaging in negativity is sometimes a reaction. Walking away with dignity is sometimes the most powerful reaction of all. As you learn to control your reaction, something remarkable happens. Life becomes lighter, easier, and more manageable. Not because the world changes, but because your perspective does. You are no longer dragged by emotions. You are no longer held hostage by anger, fear, or insecurity. You become emotionally free. You experience a quiet confidence, a sense of inner strength that cannot be shaken. You begin to see that most situations are only as big as the reaction you give them. If your reaction is small, the problem becomes small. If your reaction is powerful, the problem becomes powerless. Ultimately, your reaction defines your identity. You are not defined by what happens to you. You are defined by how you respond. Every great leader, every high achiever, every resilient individual has mastered this truth. They do not avoid challenges. They rise above them through disciplined reaction. They do not seek perfect conditions. They respond powerfully to imperfect conditions. They do not wait for easy days. They build strength on difficult days. Purpose is the force that transforms, the weight of obstacles into the momentum of progress. When a person knows exactly why they are striving, every challenge becomes repurposed into something useful. Without purpose, difficulties feel like barriers meant to stop you. With purpose, those same difficulties feel like lessons, strengthening you for the road ahead. Purpose changes the way you interpret struggle. It changes the way you carry burdens. It changes the meaning of every setback. When you possess a deep sense of direction, obstacles no longer appear as enemies. They become tools that sharpen your character, refine your discipline, and elevate your ambition. People without purpose often crumble at the first sign of resistance. They see challenges as evidence that they should stop, turn around, or give up entirely. They misinterpret temporary difficulty as permanent defeat. They assume that if the path is hard, it must not be meant for them. Their lack of direction turns small problems into overwhelming ones because they have nothing pulling them forward with conviction. But a person who has discovered their purpose sees obstacles through an entirely different lens. They understand that pressure is part of progress. They recognize that friction builds strength. They accept that the universe tests those who are meant to grow. Purpose gives you something powerful, a reason. And when you have a strong reason, your endurance multiplies. You tolerate discomfort. You push through fear. You persist through failure. A person with purpose does not ask whether the journey is easy. They ask whether the journey is meaningful. Ease does not motivate them. Meaning does. Their purpose becomes the fire that keeps them moving even when the path grows dark or the load becomes heavy. Obstacles are not random. They are strategic. Every challenge contains within it some resource, lesson, or skill that is essential for the next stage of your life. The world will not hand you strength. It will hand you situations that require strength. It will not hand you wisdom. It will hand you experiences that shape wisdom. It will not hand you confidence. It will hand you moments that demand courage. Obstacles are the raw materials from which your future success is built. Without them, you would lack the resilience, character, and ingenuity needed to accomplish anything great. Purpose is what allows you to extract value from difficulty. When things go wrong, purpose helps you ask, what is this trying to teach me? Instead of why is this happening to me? That simple shift turns frustration into insight. It turns stress into skill. It turns setbacks into preparation. When your life has direction, nothing is wasted, not even the painful moments. Every obstacle becomes a mentor, and every hardship becomes a tool shaped specifically to help you grow. Purpose also brings clarity. When you know where you are going, you stop taking every obstacle personally. You no longer interpret difficulty as a sign that you're unworthy or incapable. You see it instead as part of the path. Purpose reduces emotional noise. You stop overthinking. You stop doubting. You stop questioning your identity every time something goes wrong. You become focused, disciplined, and unwavering because your purpose tells you that the struggle is not a punishment, it's preparation. With purpose, you also become far more creative. Instead of seeing obstacles as walls that block your way, you start looking for doors, windows, ladders, new routes, or entirely new strategies. The mind expands when driven by purpose. You begin innovating, adapting, and problem-solving at levels you didn't know you were capable of. You realize that obstacles only block those who stop moving. For those who continue forward, obstacles simply redirect them toward a better path or a stronger method. Another transformative aspect of purpose is that it strengthens your emotional endurance. Without purpose, stress feels unbearable. With purpose, stress feels survivable. Without purpose, criticism discourages you. With purpose, criticism motivates you. Without purpose, failure humiliates you. With purpose, failure instructs you. Purpose stabilizes the heart. It keeps you grounded when life feels chaotic. It gives meaning to your sacrifices and turns pain into progress. People who achieve extraordinary results are not the ones who avoided obstacles. They are the ones who repurpose them. They are the ones who used adversity as fuel, rejection as direction, and pressure as training. Their purpose was greater than their discomfort. Their vision was louder than their fear. Their determination was stronger than their excuses. They understood that the path to success is not smooth, but it is meaningful. When you have purpose, every obstacle becomes part of a larger story, a story of growth, resilience, and transformation. You begin to appreciate your challenges because you see how they shape you. You start to respect the process instead of resenting it. You stop looking for shortcuts and start looking for mastery. You stop trying to avoid difficulty and start welcoming the lessons it carries. Purpose is what makes you undefeatable. Not because obstacles disappear, but because they no longer have the power to stop you. They only have the power to shape you. Once you learn to see obstacles as tools, you transform into a person who cannot be defeated by circumstance. You rise stronger after every struggle. You move forward despite resistance. You extract wisdom from every setback. You grow from every test. Self-discipline is the silent architect behind every meaningful achievement, the force that shapes habits, strengthens character, and transforms ambition into results. It does not shout. It does not boast. And it does not demand attention. Yet it influences every area of life more than talent, more than luck, more than opportunity. It is the quiet commitment you make to yourself when no one is watching. It is the decision to act according to your goals rather than your moods. It is the invisible power that carries you forward when motivation fades and challenges rise. Without self-discipline, even the brightest dreams remain fantasies. With it, even the most difficult paths become possible. Many people misunderstand success. They believe it comes from bursts of motivation, sudden inspiration, or moments of intense desire. They look for enthusiasm to carry them, but enthusiasm is temporary. It rises quickly and fades just as fast. Discipline, however, is consistent. It shows up every day regardless of how you feel. Discipline says, do it anyway. And that simple mindset separates those who wish from those who achieve. The world remembers the results of the disciplined, not the intentions of the undisciplined. Self-discipline requires you to rise above the demands of your impulses. Every human being faces the internal battle between what is easy and what is necessary. The easy path offers comfort, distraction, and temporary pleasure. The necessary path offers growth, transformation, and long-term fulfillment. Discipline is the strength that chooses the necessary path over the easy one. It is the ability to delay gratification, resist temptation, and stay committed to a greater purpose. Discipline is not punishment, it is self-respect. It is choosing what you truly want over what you want right now. The impact of self-discipline becomes clear when you observe the difference between effort and consistency. Many people can give effort for a day or a week. Only the disciplined give effort for months or years. Anyone can act with enthusiasm when the task feels exciting. Only the disciplined act with determination when the task feels dull. Dreams are built not through occasional intensity, but through repeated actions, carried out with unwavering consistency. Discipline turns action into habit, and habit into destiny. One of the greatest gifts of self-discipline is freedom. Most people assume discipline restricts life, but the opposite is true. Discipline frees you from the control of impulses, distractions, and procrastination. Without discipline, you become a prisoner to moods, emotions, and excuses. The undisciplined mind says, I'll do it later, I don't feel like it, or it's too hard. And these thoughts sabotage progress. The disciplined mind, however, is clear and decisive. It determines what must be done and does it, regardless of internal resistance. That is true freedom, the ability to act according to reason and purpose rather than impulse. Self-discipline also builds self-trust. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your confidence. Every time you follow through, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of more. But every time you break a commitment, you weaken your own trust. Discipline teaches you that you can rely on yourself, and that inner trust becomes a powerful foundation for achieving greater goals. The disciplined person doesn't need the world's encouragement. They carry their own. Another profound effect of discipline is how it transforms adversity. When you are disciplined, challenges do not break you, they sharpen you. You become stronger under pressure because your habits keep you aligned with your purpose. Discipline creates stability. It keeps you grounded when circumstances shift. It keeps you focused when distractions appear. It helps you remain composed when life tests you. Discipline builds a kind of inner armor. No obstacle can penetrate. Success in any field is never accidental. Behind every leader, every high achiever, every master of their craft, you will find a long trail of disciplined behavior. Early mornings, late nights, repeated practice, uncomfortable decisions, sacrifices, and unwavering commitment. Talent alone does not create excellence. Discipline turns talent into mastery. Motivation alone does not create success. Discipline turns motivation into action. Vision alone does not create achievement. Discipline turns vision into reality. Self-discipline grows through repeated practice. It begins with small decisions, waking up when you say you will, finishing tasks you start, choosing work over distraction, pushing yourself when you feel tired, resisting urges that pull you off track. Each small act of discipline strengthens the mind and builds momentum. Over time, what once felt difficult becomes natural. You discover that discipline is a skill, not a personality trait. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. One of the greatest challenges to self-discipline is the environment you place yourself in. If your surroundings encourage laziness, distraction, or comfort, your discipline is constantly attacked. But if your environment encourages focus, growth, and accountability, your discipline thrives. Discipline is not only about the decisions you make, it's also about the environment you build around those decisions. Ultimately, self-discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you are capable of becoming. It is the force that helps you evolve into your highest potential. It protects your goals, supports your consistency, strengthens your character, and fuels your ambition. Without discipline, success remains out of reach. With discipline, even the loftiest goals become achievable. Faith in yourself is the inner foundation upon which confidence, resilience, and personal power are built. It is the belief that you are capable of creating, overcoming, learning, growing, and rising, no matter what stands in your path. When this faith is strong, fear loses its grip, doubt fades into the background, and criticism becomes powerless. Faith in yourself is not arrogance. It is not blind optimism. It is the quiet certainty that within you lies the strength to handle whatever life brings. It is the inner voice that says, "I will find a way," even when the world tries to convince you otherwise. Fear thrives in uncertainty. It feeds on the belief that you are not ready, not worthy, or not capable. But when you have faith in yourself, fear has nothing to hold on to. Fear may whisper, but it no longer controls you. You begin to understand that fear is not a stop sign. It is a signal that you are stepping outside your comfort zone. Faith gives you the courage to continue despite the trembling of your mind. You stop waiting for fear to disappear and instead learn to move through it. You stop allowing fear to dictate your choices and start letting faith guide your steps. Doubt works in a similar way. It enters when you begin questioning your abilities, your decisions, your path, or your potential. Doubt is like a shadow. The stronger your inner light, the smaller the shadow appears. People with little faith in themselves see doubt as a warning. They retreat, hesitate, or give up. But those with strong self-belief interpret doubt differently. They see it as part of the journey, a temporary visitor that cannot change their destination. Instead of shrinking under doubt, they rise above it. They understand that doubt is often a sign of growth because growth requires stepping into unfamiliar territory. Criticism is another force that tests your faith. Some criticism is meant to help you grow, while some is meant to discourage you. Without self-belief, you cannot tell the difference. Criticism from others becomes the voice of authority. Their opinions become your limitations, but with faith in yourself, you begin to see criticism with clarity. You take what is useful and ignore what is harmful. You understand that critics rarely know your heart, your resilience, or your potential. Faith protects you from internalizing the negativity of others. It builds a mental shield that allows you to hear criticism without absorbing it. You stop living for approval and start living for purpose. Faith in yourself is also the foundation of perseverance. Many people abandon their dreams not because they lack ability, but because they lack belief. The moment things get difficult, they assume they are not capable. They forget that every great achievement in history came from someone who believed in themselves, long before the world believed in them. When you have strong self-faith, you see failure not as a verdict, but as information. You see setbacks not as signs to stop, but as opportunities to improve. This mindset gives you endurance. It makes you mentally unshakable. Self-faith does not erase challenges. It transforms your relationship with them. Challenges become tests of strength. Rather than threats to your identity, you begin to trust your ability to figure things out, even when you have no immediate solution. You become more patient with yourself. You give yourself room to grow without tearing yourself down. With faith, you step into the unknown willingly, knowing that you will adapt, learn, and evolve. An important aspect of self-faith is understanding your worth. Many people seek validation from others because they have not yet validated themselves. They wait for someone to approve their dreams, their decisions, or their abilities. This external dependence weakens them. But when you have faith in yourself, you stop seeking permission to become who you want to be. You stop waiting for someone else to acknowledge your potential. You recognize that your worth is inherent, not assigned. You realize that the most powerful validation comes from within. Faith in yourself also influences how you interpret your past. A person with weak self-belief sees past mistakes as proof of inadequacy. A person with strong self-faith sees past mistakes as evidence of growth. They do not define themselves by what went wrong. They define themselves by their ability to rise again. Faith turns regret into wisdom and transforms your history into motivation. You begin to appreciate your journey instead of resenting it. Another profound effect of self-faith is its ability to silence the internal critic. The voice inside you that exaggerates flaws, highlights weaknesses, and fears failure. When faith grows, that inner critic loses its power. You start speaking to yourself with encouragement instead of condemnation. You replace self-doubt with self-respect. Your inner dialogue becomes a source of strength rather than sabotage. This shift alone can change the entire direction of your life. Faith in yourself also opens the door to opportunities.